My girlfriend dumped me for a guy with a BMW. Now I own the dealership, and she's begging me to help pay her rent. I'm a 26-year-old guy, and this all started with a BMW key fob flashing under a restaurant candle. It wasn't even subtle. Vanessa made sure I saw it. She leaned back in her chair, scrolled through her phone, and sighed like she was exhausted from living an ordinary life. We were sitting at this small rooftop cafe we used to love. Cheap food, good view, nothing fancy. But that night, it felt like she was already somewhere else. She kept looking past me, eyes following the white BMW M340i that had just pulled up at the valet. I watched her face change. Her shoulders straightened, lips curled slightly, and she whispered, "Now that's class." I laughed awkwardly. "You mean the car or the guy?" She didn't answer right away, just stared at the reflection of that BMW in the glass and said, "Both, maybe." I tried to joke it off, but it hit deeper than I expected. Vanessa had always talked about wanting more, but lately, more meant money. Fancy vacations, designer shoes, things she knew I couldn't give her, not yet. She started comparing me to people online, saying things like, "Look at this couple, they travel every month," or "He surprises her with gifts just because." Tonight was worse. She looked at me and said softly, "You're hard-working, but aren't you tired of struggling?" I forced a smile and told her I liked earning things the hard way. She smiled back, but there was pity behind it. Real pity. When we left, that same BMW was parked by the exit. Its headlights flared to life just as we walked past, and I caught the plate number. 3 letters, 4 digits, and the Midtown Motors dealership frame. I didn't think much of it then, but that exact car would come back into my life in ways I could never have imagined. A week later, I was sitting across from Vanessa again. Same cafe, different tone. She had that look people get when they've already rehearsed what they're about to say. Her fingers traced circles around her coffee cup, eyes avoiding mine. "I think we want different things," she started, voice calm, almost too calm. "You're stable, but I need someone who's already where I want to be." I laughed, not because it was funny, but because it sounded like something ripped from a breakup cliché reel. "You mean rich," I said quietly. She sighed like I was being difficult. "No, I mean ambitious. Someone who doesn't settle for average." Her words were like little knives, polite, deliberate, and precise. I tried to remind her of all the nights I stayed late at Midtown Motors, the weekends I picked up detailing jobs just to save for our future. But she just shook her head. "This isn't about effort. It's about results." And then she said it. "His name's Amir. He's successful. He understands my goals." That name didn't hit me right away, but I knew it. I'd seen it engraved on that BMW key fob at the restaurant. The realization was slow and nauseating. I didn't argue. I didn't beg. I just sat there, staring at the swirl of milk in my untouched coffee, feeling my chest go hollow. When she got up to leave, she kissed my forehead like I was some kind of memory she'd already made peace with. By that night, she had soft-launched him on Instagram. A picture of their dinner with the caption, "Right energy." Right person. My phone buzzed nonstop. Friends sending screenshots, sympathy texts, memes to cheer me up. But nothing helped, because no one could text away the humiliation of being traded in. Not for a better man, but for a better car. And deep down, I made a promise to myself. This wouldn't be the end of my story. Not even close. I threw myself into work after that. It was easier to buff clear coats and scrub tire walls than think about her Instagram posts. Each reflection of a spotless car felt like a mirror showing me what I wasn't yet. Polished, impressive, complete. One night, I was closing up when I heard a voice behind me. "You missed a spot," said Mr. Rafiq, our old general sales manager. He was in his 50s, the kind of guy who could sell rain in a thunderstorm and still make you thank him for it. I smiled weakly. "I'll get it tomorrow." He watched me for a second, then said, "You remind me of myself. Too humble for your own good." That's when he pulled out a worn binder from his office. The cover was cracked, the corners curled. On the front, written in faded ink, were the words, desk to dealer. Inside were pages of handwritten notes, old-school sales techniques, finance breakdowns, inventory cycles, loan structures, real knowledge, not YouTube fluff. He tapped the binder and said, This is how you stop washing cars and start owning them. Most people think dealerships are about charm. They're about numbers. Learn the numbers, and you'll stop being replaceable. I didn't even know what to say. No one had ever talked to me like that, like I could actually be something. So I started studying after hours, reading while the rest of the crew went home. I learned how financing works, how profits hide in interest rates and warranties. And every night, I'd scroll past Vanessa's posts, vacations, rooftop dinners, Amir's BMW parked perfectly in frame. She'd finally gotten the life upgrade she wanted. But for the first time, I didn't feel jealous. I felt focused, because I wasn't chasing her anymore. I was chasing the map that might finally lead me out of the lot. The first time I sold a car, my hands wouldn't stop shaking. It was a used Corolla, nothing fancy, but when the customer signed the papers and smiled like I'd helped them, something clicked inside me. For the first time, I wasn't just cleaning cars, I was closing deals. That rush was addictive. I started showing up early, memorizing every model, every trim, every financing option. I shadowed the senior reps, watching how they built trust in seconds. By the end of that first month, I'd sold 5 cars, more than anyone expected from the detailing guy. When I saw my first commission check, I didn't think of clothes or vacations. I thought about saving. I thought about never having to hear someone call me average again. But reality has a way of testing you right after it congratulates you. A week later, one of my biggest deals fell through. The buyer canceled after financing got denied, and the company clawed back my commission. Overnight, half my paycheck vanished. I sat on the edge of my bed that night staring at the check stub, doing the math. Rent, bills, food. The margins didn't fit anymore. I thought of Vanessa, how she'd said she needed someone with results. I hated that her voice was right in that moment. Still, I couldn't give up. I kept flipping through Mr. Rafiq's binder every night. I highlighted the line that said, "The difference between an employee and an owner is how they see failure." So I decided to see it differently. The loss wasn't proof I was failing. It was proof I was still in the game. But deep down, I also felt something else brewing. An edge, a hunger, and I didn't know it yet. But that hunger was about to attract the very person who took everything from me. It was a Thursday morning when he walked in, the kind of morning where the air smells like fresh wax and ambition. I was rearranging key tags when I heard laughter from the front desk. Then I saw him, Amir, the BMW guy. He looked even slicker up close, designer suit, shiny watch, confidence that filled the room before he even spoke. He glanced around, scanning the lot like he owned the place. "Not bad," he said to no one in particular, "but you guys really should upgrade your lighting. Customers buy what they see, not what they're told." I froze behind the counter. He hadn't recognized me yet. I hoped he wouldn't. But fate has a dark sense of humor. "Wait," he said, squinting at my name tag. "Tariq, right? You're Vanessa's ex." He grinned. "Small world." I forced a smile, the kind you use when your pride's bleeding but you refuse to let it show. "Yeah, small world." He leaned against a desk, adjusting his cufflinks like a villain in slow motion. "She told me you worked here. Didn't think you were still. Well, here." I wanted to say something sharp, something that would wipe that smirk off his face, but instead I just nodded. He continued, "If you ever get tired of washing cars, come over to my dealership. I could show you how the real players move inventory." I bit my tongue so hard I tasted metal. The rest of the team laughed awkwardly, not knowing the backstory. Amir shook my hand like a man handing out pity, then strutted off with a business card I didn't ask for. That night I sat in my car long after closing, gripping the steering wheel until my knuckles went white. I'd never felt smaller. But I swore to myself, next time Amir saw me, it wouldn't be behind a counter. It would be behind a desk he couldn't afford to stand next to. A few weeks after that humiliating run-in with Amir, life threw me something I never expected. A second chance disguised as a phone call. It was late evening. I was locking up when my phone buzzed with an unfamiliar number. "This is Tariq," I answered, thinking it was another customer inquiry. But the voice on the other end wasn't buying anything. It was from Summit Finance, the bank that handled our dealership's floor plan. "Mr. Tariq," the woman said, "we were referred to you by a mutual contact, Mr. Rafiq." I straightened up. "Is everything okay?" She paused. "Not exactly. The dealership's current owner has financial issues. We're looking for someone who understands the business from the ground up. Someone with clean records and initiative. Mr. Rafiq spoke highly of you." For a moment, I couldn't speak. "Me? A guy who started as a detailer?" She continued, explaining they needed a turnaround operator, someone to temporarily manage the store's operations while they assessed a buyout plan. "If you can stabilize the numbers for 6 months," she said, "we'll offer you a partnership option when ownership changes." I felt my heart hammering. This was insane, unreal, but it was also exactly what I'd been preparing for without realizing it. When I hung up, I sat there in the dark parking lot, the same one I'd once mopped rainwater off of. The neon dealership sign flickered above me, half broken, half glowing, just like I'd been for years. I thought of Amir's smirk, Vanessa's pity, every time I was told to stay in my lane. Well, maybe this was my lane. Maybe I just needed to buy the road. And as the city lights blurred through the windshield, I whispered to myself, "This is it. No more proving. No more begging. Time to own what they said I never could." When the papers went through, I officially became the interim general manager of Midtown Motors. It didn't feel real at first. My nameplate on the office door looked like it belonged to someone else. The office smelled like old coffee and stale ambition, but I didn't care. It was mine. The first week, I barely slept. I stayed till 2 a.m., reorganizing ledgers, calling lenders, auditing deals. The books were worse than I imagined. Fake rebates, phantom expenses, kickbacks to shady vendors. The old owner had been running the place into the ground for years. I made cuts immediately. Canceled useless ad subscriptions, renegotiated supplier contracts, restructured our sales goals. Within 2 weeks, I'd stopped the bleeding. But with change came enemies. Some of the older salesmen, guys who'd been coasting on easy commissions, started whispering. "Detail boy got lucky," one said. "Let's see how long before he folds." I ignored them. I'd learned that silence unnerves bullies more than words ever could. Still, tension brewed. I found out 2 of those same salesmen were close friends with Amir. They'd all worked together years ago. Suddenly, customer leads started vanishing. Paperwork misplaced. Forgotten follow-ups costing us deals. I confronted them quietly, no shouting, just facts. They denied everything, smirking like kids caught cheating but too arrogant to care. That night, sitting alone in my office, I saw Vanessa's latest post, her and Amir on a weekend getaway. Champagne glasses, fake laughter. The caption read, "Hard work should be enjoyed, not endured." I stared at it for a long time. Not in pain, but in focus. Let them enjoy their comfort. Let them laugh. Because the next time they'd see my name, it wouldn't be under employee, it would be next to owner. I turned off the lights, locked my office, and whispered to the empty hallway, "Let's see who folds first." Success doesn't climb in a straight line. It jerks, stumbles, and sometimes throws you off the edge just to see if you'll crawl back. It was a Friday morning when everything collapsed. I came into work and noticed the showroom felt off, phones quiet, sales floor empty. Then my finance manager ran up, pale and sweating. "Tariq," he said, "the floor plan's frozen." I didn't understand at first. "What do you mean frozen?" He swallowed hard. "The bank pulled our credit line." "We can't buy new inventory," my stomach dropped. A dealership without inventory is like a body without blood. The entire business stops breathing. I called Summit Finance immediately. They explained it was a routine audit, except the audit had found inconsistencies in our financial records from the previous owner. Until they verified everything, no funding, no cars, no payroll. I spent the next 72 hours in my office, surrounded by invoices, bank statements, and coffee cups. Staff started panicking. A few quit on the spot. Customers canceled pending orders. Vendors demanded payments I didn't have. By Sunday night, I sat alone in the dark, my jacket hanging off a chair, head buried in my hands. The glow from the empty lot outside spilled through the blinds, cold and ghostly. I felt the walls closing in. Years of hard work, and now it all hinged on numbers I didn't even falsify. I thought about walking away, just vanishing. Then, as if the universe wanted to twist the knife, I opened Instagram. There she was, Vanessa. Champagne in hand, Amir's arm around her, the same white BMW in the background. Her caption read, "Some people wait for miracles. Others date them." I stared until the screen blurred from my tears. That was my breaking point, my rock bottom. But pain is a strange teacher, because at that lowest moment, something inside me whispered, "If they froze you out, thaw yourself." I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw numbers, VINs, deal IDs, dates, missing signatures. If the bank wanted proof, I'd give them proof. All of it. By sunrise, I was back at the dealership with a thermos of cold coffee and a mission. I pulled every deal jacket from the past 6 months, boxes stacked to the ceiling, dust choking the air. I combed through each one, cross-checking every invoice against the digital system. That's when I found it. 2 salesmen, same ones who were tight with Amir, had been running a quiet scam. Fake trade-ins. Inflated values. They'd been funneling kickbacks through an outside vendor that never existed. Every discrepancy the bank flagged led back to them. My hands shook as I organized everything. Photocopies, timestamps, emails. By noon, I had a binder thicker than a phone book. At 1 p.m., I was on a call with Summit Finance. "Send it," the rep said flatly. I did. An hour later, she called back, her tone completely different. "Mr. Tariq, we received your documentation. It's thorough, very thorough. Consider your line reinstated, effective immediately." I hung up and just sat there, staring at the blinking light on the phone. The silence after victory is weird. It's not joy, it's relief. My staff started clapping when I told them, but all I could do was nod. Then came the cleanup. I fired both salesmen that same afternoon. No yelling, no drama. Just security escorting them out while customers watched. I didn't even feel satisfaction, just clarity. That night I drove home past Amir's dealership. Lights off, closed for the day. But in the corner of the lot, I saw it, the same pearl-white BMW. For the first time, I didn't feel anger, just curiosity. Because I was starting to realize, my story wasn't about beating Amir or winning Vanessa back. It was about proving to myself that I didn't need either to win. 6 months later, the papers were signed. Official, notarized, and framed. Tariq Ahmed, majority owner, Midtown Motors. I stood in the same office where I'd once scrubbed floors, staring at my name etched on the glass door. The smell of new paint filled the air. The dealership buzzed with life again. We'd rebranded, retrained, and rebuilt from the ground up. Every sale now felt personal, not because of the profit, but because of the journey. That afternoon, my team surprised me with a celebration. A simple cake, cheap champagne, and laughter that didn't feel forced. For once, I wasn't the underdog in the room. I was the reason it still existed. We took a photo in front of a used BMW M34Di I'd bought at auction as a marketing stunt. Same model, same color as the car. "Boss, you should drive it home," one of the guys joked. I smiled. "Nah, let's keep it on display." A reminder of where ambition can take you, and where ego can't. As the laughter faded, the receptionist knocked on my office door. "Sir, someone's here to see you." I turned and froze. It was Vanessa. Hair tied back, face pale, eyes swollen. She wasn't wearing the designer glow anymore. Just quiet desperation. "Hi, Tariq," she whispered. "Can we talk?" I hesitated, then nodded toward the waiting area. She sat down, clutching her purse like it was life support. I didn't know who else to come to. she said softly. Amir left. The BMW was in his company's name. I got evicted last week, her voice cracked. I just need a little help, just this once. You've always been kind. I didn't respond right away. I just stared at the reflection of the dealership's logo behind her. Midtown Motors, no games, no lies. For the first time in years, I had all the power. But what I did next would decide whether I stayed the man I became, or became like the people who broke me. I led Vanessa into the same finance office where I'd learned everything about trust and betrayal. The irony wasn't lost on me. The same place where numbers turned into power, where signatures sealed fates. She sat across from me, eyes darting between the floor and the wall of certificates behind my desk. You really made it, huh? She said quietly. I always knew you'd do something big. I almost laughed. No, you didn't. Her face fell. Tariq, please. I'm not here to fight. I just need a small loan, just to get back on my feet. I'll pay you back, I swear. Her words felt rehearsed, like she'd given that speech before, maybe to Amir, maybe to others. I studied her for a moment, the woman who once told me ambition wasn't the same as results. And I realized she was right. It wasn't. Ambition is what gets you started. Results are what happen when you survive everything that tried to stop you. I reached into my drawer and pulled out a file. Not money, but paperwork from months ago. The bank audit report. 2 names highlighted, the salesman I'd fired. Do you know these guys? I asked. She frowned. They used to work here, right? Why? Because one of them admitted something, I said. He said they were getting inside info, customer data, deal sheets, inventory pricing, all sent from a Gmail address under your name. She froze, lips parted, eyes wide. I didn't. Save it, I said quietly. I'm not here to humiliate you. I just want you to understand what your silence cost me. She started crying, whispering that she was sorry, that she'd been manipulated. Maybe she had. Maybe she hadn't. I didn't care anymore. I slid a single sheet of paper across the desk, a list of financial counseling centers, job agencies, and a shelter network I partnered with for customers in crisis. You can start over, I said. But not through me. Her sobs broke into silence. When she finally looked up, her voice was barely a whisper. You've really changed. I stood, opened the office door, and said the truth. No, I just stopped letting people drive me off my own road. When Vanessa left that day, I didn't feel triumphant. There was no cinematic revenge moment, no slow clap in my head, just quiet, a strange, peaceful quiet. I stood by the showroom window, watching her disappear down the street. The same street I used to walk home from after closing shifts, drenched in sweat and humiliation. This time, I didn't feel small. I just felt done. A week later, that same finance office saw another meeting, but this one ended differently. A single mother came in, working 2 jobs, credit score barely surviving. She needed a car to keep her life together. The banks had turned her down. I approved her financing personally, waived my commission, and handed her the keys. She cried. I didn't, but something inside me healed a little. That night, we unveiled the new billboard over the lot. Midtown Motors, locally owned, no games. It lit up the skyline in blue and white, the colors of that BMW. The irony made me smile. Later, as I locked up, I sat in the BMW we kept for display. The engine hummed softly, steady, and powerful. My reflection in the windshield wasn't the same man who once begged for love and validation. It was the man who built something real, from grit, not gifts. My phone buzzed. A text from Vanessa. Thank you for helping me even after everything. I'm trying to get back on track. You deserve all of this. I read it once, then archived it. No anger, no nostalgia, just closure. Outside, the neon sign flickered over my name. I thought of the boy washing cars in the rain, the man who got dumped for a BMW, and the owner who now sold them. Life didn't give me revenge. It gave me clarity, and that was worth more than anything money could buy. Because real power isn't when they regret losing you. It's when you no longer need them to.